There is a ton of galaxies spread throughout Mario Galaxy 1 and 2. Today, I'll be trying to rank them from worst to best. This is by far the most challenging rank video I've had to make, simply because most of the galaxies have redeeming qualities to them. So I decided to base this list off of the fun factor, atmosphere, and the general pacing. So with that, let's get her ranked. 91, Grand Finale Galaxy. I really don't know why this is classified as a galaxy to begin with. All you do is walk across the path and collect 100 purple coins. Granted, it's just supposed to be a little bonus thing to do after beating the main game, but in comparison to the other galaxies, it's about as boring as it can get. 90, Gateway Galaxy. For the so-called tutorial level, it does its job in teaching you how to play the game and understanding its basic mechanics. But this does count as a galaxy, and it's pretty bare bones at that. The purple coin star later on is okay, but there's just not much substance here. 89, Stone Cyclone Galaxy. If you like the idea of Nintendo taking a chunk of a Galaxy 1 level and turning that into a full-blown galaxy, might I ask why? I mean, sure, this was an okay section of the first game, but it never needed to be a standalone galaxy at all. 88, Mario Squared Galaxy. And here's yet another galaxy that's practically ripped from Galaxy 1. Although I will admit that it is slightly different. As a matter of fact, it's way easier than the two variants from the first game. All you have to do is touch the blue panels. It's almost impossible to mess this star up. I'm not sure why this wasn't included within a bigger galaxy instead of being its own thing. 87, Twisty Trials Galaxy. I imagine a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one, so I'll explain. A Mario Sunshine callback to this degree is quite neat, but it's ruined by the Cloudflower in Yoshi. Those power-ups completely remove the entire purpose of what made the original Sunshine levels so fun. You were supposed to play through them without help. Well, at least at first, since you do the red coins with the Flood Pack, but the point still stands that the power-ups make this galaxy way too easy for what it's trying to reference. 86, Battle Belt Galaxy. This is one of those out of ideas kind of galaxies. The main concept is to take out all the enemies on mini planets, and that's it. The planets themselves don't even look that interesting. 85, Boss Blitz Galaxy. If you wanted to refight Mario Galaxy 1's bosses, you can do so with this galaxy. It's really cool that all of them returned, but this doesn't really make sense as a level and should have just been an extra game mode instead. 84, Snowcap Galaxy. All you do here is find 3 bunnies and catch them. It's extremely simplistic, which isn't really the issue, it's just not very fun. Having to dig through the snow or use the cursor to move snow out of the way is pretty clunky. And again, you're just catching the bunnies. I just don't get the obsession with these kind of stars. Like, seriously, what is it with bunnies, Nintendo? 83, Bubble Blast Galaxy. By far one of the most unfair galaxies, Bubble Blast has you completing several obstacle courses in a bubble to collect all the star chips. This is a fine idea, but making one mistake forces you to restart from the very beginning. Granted, the segments are short, but it's extremely frustrating when the cursor gets off screen by accident and you have to try again because of it. 82, Sling Pod Galaxy. Maybe it's just me, but I always saw Sling Pods as the downgrade to Pull Stars. For most of the level, you fling Mario from Sling Pod to Sling Pod. Extreme accuracy is key as there's very little room for error. And at the end, you have to be cautious of the fire bars on top of flinging yourself in the right direction. This galaxy provides good challenges and ideas, but it's just not that enjoyable. 81, Grandmaster Galaxy. The final challenge and the hardest galaxy out of all of them in the entire series. You'll have to go through several different sections that all offer varying levels of difficulty. I love that Nintendo went balls to the walls and forced us to beat this whole thing without getting hit and without checkpoints, but this doesn't really feel like a galaxy. It's just a generic Kaizo level without much soul put into it. And it can be extremely frustrating when you die at the very end and have to do the whole thing over again. 80, Bubble Breeze Galaxy. This is the same idea as the Bubble Blast Galaxy, but the level design is more concrete. A lot of wind turbines blow you around, and you have to carefully navigate your way around to collect star chips. I also love the part where you have to ground pound the switch and make your way back to the bubble and get through the wall. It's nice seeing some diversity. Although, like Bubble Blast, losing your cursor for a moment can mean life or death in an instant. 79. Loopdeeswoop Galaxy. You surf on a manta ray with motion controls. Moving around works pretty well, but this level can have some seriously large ripples, and it sometimes leads to deaths that feel like shouldn't have happened. The level design is pretty cool, but the waves can be an issue at times. 78. Loopdeeloop Galaxy. It's basically the same thing, but a little bit easier. Frankly, both of these levels could be interchanged based on what you find to be more fun. My preference on these two switch all the time. 77. Rolling Gizmo Galaxy. This is one of the harder ball rolling levels, if not the hardest. At times it can be really frustrating, but it does have plenty of interesting obstacles and gadgets. What gets me though is having to stand on this tiny dice block while it's coming up. That is a little ridiculous. 76. Rolling Green Galaxy. It's what you do. You roll on top of the big monkey ball over some green. The level design feels more fulfilling compared to Rolling Gizmo in a weird sort of way. I just find that I have slightly more fun with this one. But these two levels could also be swapped around depending on your mood. 75. Bigmouth Galaxy. On the other side of this water is a golden shell you need, and you're supposed to collect some star chips to get there, which is technically half the challenge, but you can very easily just wall jump your way to the shell. This galaxy is fine, but pretty forgettable, and that's a pretty big exploit. 74. Wild Glide Galaxy. So flying Fluzzard is surprisingly quite a swell time. We have to soar through a vast forest filled with balloons and rings that we can hit, and it's a nice change of pace. All the motion control stars are, to be fair, but they really start to get good with this galaxy. 73. Fleet Glide Galaxy. You fly Fluzzard again, but now in this crazy factory area. This level is much more in-depth to go through. There's parts where you have to circle around tubes or avoid these giant thwoms, and it's just a little bit more interesting than Wild Glide, but they're both enjoyable. 72. Bowser Jr.'s Lava Reactor. What you get here is essentially a boss refight of King Caliente. I do appreciate the harder difficulty considering the ground tumbles beneath you and there's way more enemies to avoid, but that's the only substance. There isn't much of a level before this fight. 71. Bowser Jr.'s Airship Armada. While not the most interesting Bowser level, there is something novel about hopping from airship to airship, and the cannons are fun to use as well since they're much easier to aim, unlike the ones in Mario 64. The boss fight though is nothing special. You hit Bowser Jr.'s airship with some shells and he goes down pretty easily. 70. Dreadnought Galaxy. This is another dark and factory-ish kind of galaxy, with only a few stars worth mentioning. The Top Man fights are pretty cool, and the level design is fairly intricate since it's one of the later levels. But in the end, Dreadnought just kinda seems like it's filling in the check marks for finishing the game. 69. Bowser's Dark Matter Plant. The idea behind this one is that gravity is constantly changing, and you have to make sure Mario is in the right spot to avoid dying. It's a cool concept, but it really just boils down to a lot of waiting for blocks to move. There's other galaxies just like this one that bring this concept much more justice. The music and boss fight is pretty solid though. 68. Slipsand Galaxy. Going down this slide is pretty fun, but that's really the only praise I can give this galaxy. It's another one of those dark toned levels, but the sand is just obnoxious. Some may argue that the sand adds challenge to the stage, which it does, but I feel like I'm getting dragged on my feet. A lot of the stars are just a chore because I keep getting slogged down by the sand, and the roosters crapping out bombs don't help either. 67. Flash Black Galaxy. Do you like the idea of a level going from visible to invisible every few seconds? I hope you do, because that's the gimmick for Flash Black Galaxy. It's not the worst thing ever. I mean, frankly, going black is more of an annoyance than actually a challenge. Like, honestly, if you just take your time and pay attention, it's really easy to avoid falling, and the enemies are kind of just there as well. 66. Deep Dark Galaxy. I mean, I guess this one is sort of dark, but it's mostly just a water galaxy with other random things to do, such as hitting these balls to grow a melon, which makes absolutely no sense. This one does the job and has some good ideas, but half of the stars are tedious to collect, especially the purple coins, like, ugh, my god. 65. Bowser's Lava Lair. So this lair has some pretty unique camera angles and snake block sections. There's not much else that stands out. My favorite part is definitely the dry bone heads eating out the carpet. It just looks really cool for some reason. The Bowser fight is nothing special. It doesn't really line up as well as Galaxy 1's version. 64. Dusty Dune Galaxy. It's just your typical desert level. The best thing about it is using a tornado and watching Mario's arms defy the laws of physics. There's some fun platforming to be found here, but the levels do feel a bit overdrawn. There's a lot of waiting for things to move or just running back and forth a lot. 63. Battlerock Galaxy. Strangely, the only thing I remember when it comes to this galaxy is the purple coin. coins, and that's likely because you can't make too many mistakes or you'll have to redo the whole star. Besides the auto-scrolling part, there's some nice pull star sections and a cool gimmick where you have to use bob-ohms to blow up glass structures. 62. Drip Drop Galaxy. The main idea is to take some Koopa shells and chuck them at 3 eels. It's a very simple yet fun level, and it does a great job showing how supreme the swimming controls are in this game. 61. Sea Slide Galaxy. Well, there's not much for slides, but the sea is definitely present. The entire galaxy is a giant loop with a couple other planetoids on the outside and in the middle. The stars are mostly water-based, and since you get to use the Koopa shell, they're quite pleasurable. My only gripe is the silver stars, as they can be a bit of a drag, but going to explore the level in depth can be a treat too. 60. Slimy Spring Galaxy. What makes this galaxy stand out is you mostly use a shell to tread through the water. The cave feels very grimy, and it's almost like you're some sort of explorer checking out the life underneath. And I especially like that section where you use the rings to get some nice boost. 59. Boulder Bowl Galaxy. The rock mushroom isn't exactly bowling, but I do love the reference they include of it. This galaxy illustrates how intuitive and unintuitive the rock mushroom is. You can plow through a lot of enemies at once, but turning is quite the problem to behold. The boss is pretty sweet though. I love that we have bosses that utilize specific power-ups. 58. Melty Monster Galaxy. Out of all the lava galaxies, this is one of the more condensed ones, which is a good and a bad thing. Some of the highlights include this mass of magmars that plow through these rocks and you have to time when to go to avoid getting burned. But then there's this random boulder section which doesn't really have its place here. Honestly, Melty Molten Galaxy has a better foundation, but this galaxy is pretty decent too. 57. Flipswitch Galaxy. Your premise is simple. Shake the remote and the blue and red tiles flip around. It's a fun idea and it's utilized in some cool ways, like having to get around electric gates or the chain chomps. 56. Bowser Jr.'s Fiery Flotilla. This just in. Mario fights Big Worm known as Gobblegut, and you punch his pink ouchie spots to do damage. There's a little bit of level before this boss, but it's over before you know it. And like I said, I enjoy the boss fight a lot, but I just wish there was a little bit more level. 55. Matter Splatter Galaxy. Watching the ground kind of splash all over the place is nothing short of fascinating, and the fact that we can't go outside of these boundaries creates a relatively innovative level. The Spring Mario portion is a little boring, but for the most part, this is a unique experience that you can't really find anywhere else. 54. Rolling Coaster Galaxy. Nintendo always finds a way to reference Rainbow Road in their games, and for this one, you roll a ball down a giant rainbow hill. At this point in the game, you need to have mastered the controls, because falling will happen if you're not going at the right speed or angle. It's a great galaxy, but all you really do is go down the hill. 53. Buoy Base Galaxy. The music in this stage is absolutely phenomenal and one of the best pieces in Super Mario Galaxy. I really wish the levels were just a little bit bigger. You start by guiding Torpedo Ted into some glass, then a pipe suctions you to the top and you guide another enemy towards the star. The green star is also pretty fun, but again, the highlight has to be the incredible music. 52. Melty Molten Galaxy. Here is the slightly better lava galaxy. It's fairly enjoyable with the things you have to do. You'll refight a fire version of Dino Piranha, climb up a mountain while lava rises up, and have a bullet bill chase you from behind while avoiding several walls. 51. Boo's Boneyard Galaxy. A simple race with Boo seems like a pretty forgettable star, but there's plenty of walls and obstacles that obtrude your path. And it is really exhilarating trying to figure out which path is the fastest, and timing your shake to go invisible through the light blue walls keeps you on your toes. The Boo power-up isn't the most interesting one in Mario Galaxy, but it is utilized brilliantly in this level. 50. Honeyclimb Galaxy. If you enjoy using Beam Mario, this one is dedicated to climbing sticky honey walls. It's not very challenging, but there's a lot of variants and enemies you'll have to avoid along the way. 49. Right Side Down Galaxy. I really love the galaxies that swap the gravity on the fly. This one does so in quite a few ingenious ways. Heck, there's even a top-down perspective at one point. The charm factor is on the low end, but the gimmick for this galaxy makes up for that. 48. Rolling Masterpiece Galaxy. Well, that's one way to put it. This galaxy does look like a pretty masterpiece. The walls are made of paintbrushes, and the color is just all over the place. The level design in Rolling Masterpiece feels so right, and heck, you fight a chomp ball at the end of it. 47. Bowser's Gravity Gauntlet. This just happens to be one of the few Bowser galaxies that actually feels like we're in a castle, but the twist is that there's twists everywhere. Mario is constantly being sent to the ceiling or walls, and on top of being disorienting, there are plenty of fire bars that get in your path. The layout for Bowser's Gravity Gauntlet is very smoothly put together. 46. Gold Leaf Galaxy. It starts off as a flipped version of Honeyhive Galaxy, but the stars themselves are completely different. Although frankly, they aren't quite as fun. You chase around a bunny for the 8th time, have to put up with these annoying cataquacks, and there's a pretty easy boss fight. This is still a great galaxy and it looks gorgeous, but the first version is definitely better. 45. Flipswitch Galaxy. You can't get more simple than having to press down on all the switches. There's something so satisfying about watching all the blue switches change to yellow and then finally hitting them all to spawn the star. It's simple, dumb fun. I'm probably placing it too high, but I just love this one. 44. Hurry-Scurry Galaxy. This is a fairly similar idea to Flipswitch, except you have to collect music notes and the ground disappears after touching it. There's really nothing better than grabbing your notes, followed by going out of your way to hit every panel and then finally nabbing the star. 43. Beat Block Galaxy. Continuing our string of one idea wonders, beat blocks swap back and forth to the beat of the game's music. It can be a bit scary timing your jumps at the end, but synchronizing gameplay and the music is just brilliant. 42. Sweet Sweet Galaxy. This single-star galaxy has a tasty environment with cakes, frosting, strawberries, and cookie cutouts. The cutouts are the main gimmick of the level. As they move through a conveyor belt, you have to jump or long jump over to get across while also avoiding electric gates. Timing out Mario's jumps is immensely gratifying, and the happy overview adds to all the charm. 41. Spin Dig Galaxy. The spin drill is a great item to use for more puzzle-based levels, and Spin Dig has a few pretty clever ones. You'll have to do things like bouncing off metal and move through the dirt, or find holes in the ground for silver stars. It's a pretty small galaxy, but it's filled to the brim with great ideas. 40. Sand Spiral Galaxy. Rarely does Nintendo let you choose to use multiple power-ups in Mario Galaxy, but Sand Spiral gives you the option of picking between the Boo and the Bee Mushroom. I don't know why anyone wouldn't use the Boo because you have infinite flying, but it's cool that you can choose. The end is also kind of funny because you're supposed to circle around this spiral, but you could just take the risk and just long jump your way across instead. 39. Yoshi Star Galaxy. This is the beginning galaxy where you start off with the green Yoshi, and it's another really fun one too. My favorite part by far is the thick Lekatu we have to fight by hurling his spinies back at him. It's short, sweet, and to the point. 38. Freezeflame Galaxy. It's more or less a typical snow level, but it has a few awesome perks. These include this lava section where you have to roll snowballs across lava, and this snow boss that's originally disguised as a planet. 37. Sweet Mystery Galaxy. You wouldn't think the Bullberry could be used in such a clever fashion, but Sweet Mystery lights up the level instead of the sky. It's by far one of the best uses of the Bullberry, and this galaxy makes me hungry as well. Look at those donuts. 36. Honeybloom Galaxy. It's really bizarre seeing a galaxy that's almost entirely played in a 2D fashion, and for the most part, it works pretty well. You'll use Bee Mario for most of the time and have to fly your way around avoiding bee eaters, or bounce off these berry things. They're a bit annoying to get around, but hey, I like the change of pace. 35. Flipsville Galaxy. I'm not really flipping out or anything, but this one has you going back and forth from being normal to upside down. There's enemies built around the mechanic too. Heck, even the boss has to be destroyed like this. I really like the focus on this specific style of gravity. It's pretty cool. 34. Starshine Beach Galaxy. Very obviously a nod to Mario Sunshine. You're launched into a sizable beach with Yoshi and can use the dash and blimp peppers to get your way around. I enjoy getting most of the stars, although there's not much that's new. It just feels like another beach stage, but it is a very solid one. 33. Bowser Jr.'s Robot Reactor. If you're craving some Shadow of the Colossus, this galaxy pulls that off in spades. You'll climb up against a giant robot, and at the top, you have to use bullet bills to smash through gates to get access to the star. This mechanic is quite the neat one, since you have to angle Mario's movement very carefully to make sure the bullet bills don't collide with others and go where you want them to go. 32. Freezeflame Galaxy. For what sounds like a generic ice and lava level, there is a surprising amount of things to do. Some of the highlights include battling a bear on Burr, climbing a giant ice mountain, hurling fire into goblets, and ice skating across lava. Throwing fireballs can be a bit annoying at times, and the music is just okay, but the actual level design is pretty fantastic. 31. Space Storm Galaxy. Outside of this being another factory-like level, the actual gameplay is amazing in Space Storm. Enemies are used in ingenious ways, such as guiding this Bob-omb across a path to break open the glass. The Pull Star segment is a wonderful step in difficulty too. It's really gratifying having to time when to pull yourself through space. And the Top Man Star is just loads of fun with having to hit switches to slow down time and climbing up that tower. This is a really great galaxy. 30. High Hightail Falls Galaxy. Whew, talk about using a power-up. The Dash Pepper takes Mario and Yoshi up massive hills and long paths in Hightail Falls. This isn't very much of a constructed world, but the gameplay is incredibly thrilling, so that doesn't really matter. Running around on the sides of walls is awesome too. You almost get this Sonic the Hedgehog vibe. 29. Bowser's Star Reactor. You start by getting a kick in the nostalgia with the classic Koopa's Road music playing an orchestrated remix. This sets you up for an incredibly epic boss fight with Bowser, and the music really shines. The only issue here is the levels on the short side, but my god, it just feels so good. 28. Sky Station Galaxy. It's our first level in Mario Galaxy 2, and it's a really fun one. Each planet is drastically different from one another, and even shows off new forms of gravity that weren't really seen in the first game. The only issue is the boss. See, they tried to recreate the magic with a different variation of the piranha plant, but honestly, they should have made something that didn't involve the plant. 27. Puzzle Plant Galaxy. Claiming that this galaxy has any semblance to puzzles is hilarious, but man, this one is such a joy. The music makes you so happy and vibrant, and there's a subtle sense of rush with the saws chopping down the levels as you go by. The mini boss fight at the end is a nice way of wrapping this galaxy up too. 26. Good A Galaxy. This is the shining example of what Mario Galaxy is. A large variety of planetoids to explore with different shapes and gravity, tons of interesting enemies, launch stars, and of course, really big boss fights. It's not much of a challenging galaxy, but it's not meant to be. This level is perfect for teaching the player how to play the game. It is nothing short of a classic. 25. Beach Bowl Galaxy. You straight up steal a shell from some little penguin just to pass a swimming test and get a star. Now, besides Mario's thievery habits, Beach Bowl is one of those places you actually want to go to in real life. This is the first time you really try out the water, and we were all so amazed at the fully functioning swimming controls. This is a very relaxing world, with each star being a joy to collect. There's something special about this one. 24. Flip Out Galaxy. Instead of flipping switches, you're flipping entire platforms that you need to run around on. I absolutely love this gimmick. This galaxy requires you to think ahead on when it's best to switch from using the red or blue platforms. I really wish this level was longer or had more sections. That's all it really needed. 23. Honeyhop Galaxy. This reminds me of Honeyhive Galaxy, but a diet version of that. The main objective is to collect 5 silver stars, and you do so by flying around the world and avoiding all the water and enemies in your path. The bubbles are an interesting new obstacle. It's almost hysterical you have to worry about something as innocent as that. However, Honeyhop feels almost too condensed. 22. Ghostly Galaxy. The spooks are on the low side, but the fun is jacked up pretty high. This is where you first try out the Boo Mushroom, and even though you only use it for like 5 seconds, it's still used in a really creative way. What I especially like about this galaxy is the Boo Race and Bouldergeist. The Boo Race just goes to show how addicting pull stars are and how quickly you can use them. And then Bouldergeist is that boss that everyone finds to be really difficult, but his patterns are actually really easy and predictable. He's an amazing boss fight though, one of the best Mario ones I'd say. 21. Boo Moon Galaxy. I never thought that I could be so into snake block sections for a Mario title, but Boo Moon really gets creative with them. The entire level literally flips on its side at certain points, and you have to adjust to moving very swiftly. And the pop-up book that's shaped as a mansion is such a charming thing to include as well. Plus, this level actually uses Boo Mario for more than 5 seconds compared to Ghostly Galaxy. 20. Upside Dizzy Galaxy. So here's another take on flipping the gravity, but this time it's on a time limit similar to Beat Block Galaxy. They somehow found really innovative ways to move Mario up and down, with some parts of the stage permanently set in one direction. It's by far the best use of the gimmick out of all the galaxies. 19. Honeyhop Galaxy. So the Bullberry mechanic is used in even better ways compared to Sweet Mystery Galaxy, and it's only half of this galaxy. You run around in segmented sections with loads of different gameplay styles being thrown at you. 1 second you're using the berry, to long jumping across the conveyor belt floor, and to platforms pushing towards the sides. The ghost theme gets tiring, but the level design is spectacular. 18. Bowser's Galaxy Generator. I didn't realize Bowser could generate entire galaxies, but anyway, this is one heck of a level. It's fairly long and the game throws most of its gimmicks at you all at once. The final boss is pretty good too, but my only gripe is the ending. The idea of Bowser coming back and you have to hurl rocks at him is really sick, but it is way too easy. Besides that though, it's an excellent final level. 17. Bowser's Galaxy Reactor. And now for the final level in Galaxy 1. The build up to the final fight is just as immaculate as you'd expect. You're constantly thrown into several different landscapes like the desert, lava, or this weird translucent cube place. The actual boss fight is lengthy for a Mario game. You have to fight 3 different forms of Bowser, which all have different ways of attacking him. It's not too difficult, but for the whole time, it is a blast, and slightly better than Galaxy 2's final boss. 16. Shiverburn Galaxy. Of all the Fire and Ice galaxies, Shiverburn takes the cake for the most imaginative designs. Cheesing this lava segment to hit a giant switch to make everything ice? Yes please. Jumping across a lava planet with Frogger-like platforms? I like that. An ice road with fireballs that obstruct your path followed with flipping that concept, then a boss fight that shoots fireballs on ice? Yeah, you can't go wrong. This galaxy is so much better than you could ever imagine. 15. Bowser Jr.'s Fearsome Fleet. An emphasis on using Yoshi for a Bowser level is something you don't really see, so it's pretty awesome getting to use his tongue-eating abilities in so many different ways. And the boss fight is just incredible. You got Bowser Jr. in this giant mech with hammers for hands, and you have to fight him by shooting bullet bills at his chest. I'm not gonna lie, this is a more engaging boss fight than Bowser himself. 14. Bonefin Galaxy. By far one of the best single-star galaxies. You have to take out this giant bonefish by flicking Koopa shells at him in the water. There's a hidden layer of strategy of having to aim your shots and also using the shell to gain speed on him. And you want to know what's really crazy? He takes more than 3 hits to go down. Yep, he just broke Mario tradition. Instead, it's 5 hits. I'm pretty blown away too. 13. Bowser Jr.'s Boom Bunker. Well, that's one way to put it. Bowser Jr. is definitely in some sort of bunker. My favorite thing about this boss fight is that you really feel the power of the Cloud Flower. The floaty jumps, making cloud platforms, all of this is used to its fullest potential to make for one of the most satisfying boss fights in the game. The actual level before that is pretty neat too. You'll have to use a cannon to shoot yourself around and things along the lines of that. 12. Throwback Galaxy. Talk about a nostalgia trick. Being taken back to Whomp's Fortress is not only a fun treat, but the changes make for a great galaxy on its own. You fight King Whomp again, and then you get psyched out when you realize the real fight is hiding underneath the entire level. The Silver Star mission is solid too, and man, that music, it is just perfect. 11. Clockwork Ruins Galaxy. Nintendo will seemingly never go away from clock-based levels. It's just kind of in their DNA at this point. Although the only clock elements are these rotating platforms near the beginning, and even that is a stretch. The environment is based off some ancient ruins, which is also really fun to see. 10. Chompworks Galaxy. Mechanically speaking, Chompworks is the most interesting galaxy. This level revolves around you hitting switches or stepping on weighted platforms to bring chomp balls through the level to make progress. The ending can be scary because you have to guide a chomp ball through a fairly long path, and one mistake forces you to start over. It's not the most charming level ever, but the mechanics are very well established. 9. Gusty Garden Galaxy. By far one of the most pleasing galaxies to look at. Gusty Garden Galaxy has some pretty cool missions like fighting this giant burrow and swapping the gravity around via switches. You do a lot of your traversing by catching the wind with flowers, and it's one of the more magical things you can do in Mario Galaxy. And I don't even need to say anything about that song. It is what some would call slapperific. 8. Space Junk Galaxy. Not surprisingly, this galaxy is the definition of space. The universe is filled with a lot of junk and nonsense in no particular order or structure, and its existence is beautiful on its own. Every star here feels like you're just casually strolling through the blackness with no end goal. And on top of that is the Camella and Terrantox fights, which are both really solid. Terrantox in particular does sling pods right, since you don't have to fling yourself 8 miles away. 7. Fluffy Bluff Galaxy. This is our first time using the Cloud Flower, and it is quite the magical experience. The level is built in a very open way, which gives you options to explore and really get used to the power-up. The stars are fairly easy, but are riveting to play at the same time. 6. Honeyhive Galaxy. One of the more open-ended levels. Honeyhive utilizes the bee power-up in a lot of fun ways. You'll have to climb up honeycombs, fly over gaps, and even tickle the big mama bee. The atmosphere feels like home, with lots of flowers and natural life just kind of floating around. It's one of the more memorable galaxies. 5. Toy Time Galaxy. It's gotta be by far the most out there concept for a level. I mean, there's an entire star where you're running around on a giant 8-bit Mario or 8-bit Luigi. Toy Time introduces the Spring Mushroom, which I know isn't everyone's favorite power-up, but I feel like it's utilized in really smart ways. This galaxy just screams joy, which is exactly what Mario Galaxy is all about. 4. Cosmic Cove Galaxy. The more peaceful and relaxing levels are the highlights of Mario Galaxy. You'll hit a switch to turn all the water into ice, which then allows you to wall jump off these waterfalls and get a star. Then there's a part where you have to use a drill to literally terraform a planet and release water that was trapped underneath. These stars are so innovative. I can't get enough of them. 3. Supermassive Galaxy. Here's another gimmick Nintendo comes back to a lot, and they really knocked it out of the park. You wall jump off this giant coin, stand on warp pipes to get to higher ground, wall jump off giant thwomps, can get infinite lives off the Koopas. I mean, really good golly gracious. 2. Tall Trunk Galaxy. That's right, a galaxy based off of giant trees. Some of these trees have crazy curves too, in which you'll have to use thick Yoshi to get around. The best part of this galaxy is of course the slide. It is the perfect evolution to Mario 64 slides. It's a lot more difficult and you have to jump over enemies and you can slide around in all directions. It is truly a perfect evolution. And 1. Cloudy Court Galaxy. Now let me just say this, any of the top 10 galaxies I've listed could be considered the best of the bunch, but I decided to go with Cloudy Court for how charming and enjoyable all the stars are. You bounce off of drums, you combine the powers of clouds and wind to get around, the music is amazing, and on top of all that, a couple of the stars can be quite tricky, especially the Shadow Mario ones, which is fantastic since most of the game is on the easier side. Holy crap, this list was hard to make. 95% of these galaxies are fun, and trying to put them all on a list together made me feel almost guilty. But I did what I could, and I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. With all that said, thank you all so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day. Stay safe out there.